this is Frode and welcome back to Actualize Notes TV. Today we have another great book, Sapiens, by Yuval Noah Harari. Sapiens. Subtitle, A Brief History of Humankind. As you might notice, I am having a bit of a cold and I might sound a little bit funky, but I will still do my best to help you actualize by applying these ideas to your life today. So, Yuval Noah Harari, the author of the book, is he has a PhD in history from the University of Stanford, and he now teaches specializing in world history at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, if I'm right. And it's just mind-boggling about all of the connections that this guy can see throughout history, and all the new ways of thinking about what has happened through history and what we might expect in the future. So yeah, this was an incredibly knowledgeable guy. And although it's obviously not a self-help book, it's a history book, there were a lot of big ideas that we can apply to our lives now. And those are the ideas we'll be focusing on. I think you'll highly enjoy the book if you are into understanding yourself, other human beings, the world we're living in right now, what we might expect in the future, and if you want to think differently. So, if you are into that, you'll love the book. For now, let's look at my favorite 5 big ideas. 1. Biology versus culture. Harari makes the point that biology enables, culture forbids. It's kind of a mantra. Biology enables, culture forbids. Why? Because throughout our culture, we have these, culture is another word for our human imagination. What we can imagine that is possible and what we can imagine is impossible. Biology simply concerns itself with what's naturally impossible, which is truly impossible, and what is biologically possible, that we are capable of doing. And whereas culture tends to kind of push down our ambitions for the future and what we can create in our lives, our biological realities extend a lot further. A bit difficult to understand this, the way I'm saying it. So an easy way to think about it is that we need to don't let other people's opinions and the culture's opinions of what's possible stop you from exploring your biological possibilities, what you're actually capable of doing. And that's a lot further than we actually can imagine. So that's biology versus culture. And one simple example of this is given by Joe DeSena in his book Spartan Up, where he tells the story of Göran Kropp, who was a Swedish guy. And in 1995, I think it was, he spent 6 months riding his bicycle to Mount Everest. Then, with no oxygen and no oxygen mask and no Sherpa, he climbed Mount Everest, got to the top, and then he descended Mount Everest before he rode his bike back to Sweden. And if I had asked you to go on such a trip, you might have said, that's impossible, or that can't be real. But it's hard. It was really hard for Göran Kropp, of course, but it wasn't impossible. The culture, our human imaginations, limited us from thinking that it was biologically possible to bike to Mount Everest, rise it without oxygen mask and Sherpa, and descend it and go back home. So, all this begs the question, what have you let yourself believe is impossible because other people have told you so, or you simply don't have the confidence? And are you ready to pursue those dreams anyway? To explore your biological possibilities? Remember, biology enables, culture forbids. Next big idea. Choice. This is a beautiful idea. Harari says that every point in history is a crossroads. And he elaborates this by saying that here's the world. From the past goes only one traveled road with lots of twists and turns, up and down, up and down. And here are we, right now. But the future presents us with an infinite array of possibilities. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Good choice, bad choice, choice, bad choice. So for all the choices people like Hitler and kings, queens, officers, soldiers, any people have made throughout history, those were possible crossroads to change the future, which we'll talk more about in the idea number 5. But what's important for us to understand on the individual perspective is that every single moment we have a choice to step forward into growth or back into safety. Make a choice that we know are in accordance with what we're capable of, or to step back into safety and just experience comfort. In his book Memorabilia, Xenophon, the Socrates of the student of Socrates, gives us a story about Hercules. When Hercules was on the verge of manhood, he had to choose between 2 clear paths in life. The path of virtue or the path of vice. So when he sat down on a rock and contemplated this, or something, 2 beautiful women came toward him. Came running toward him. And he had to choose right then and there, virtue or vice. And Hercules, in short, chose virtue, not vice. He chose hard work and stepping up to his highest potential, not comfort and experiencing pleasure every single moment of every single day. And in his book, The Philosophy of Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, Donald Robertson, a psychologist, I think, calls this a Pythagorean fork. A fork with 2 edges. You can either choose the path of excellence or the path of error. And all the great teachers talk about this in different ways, but again, the concept is this. Every moment you have a choice. You can step forward into growth or back into safety. What will you choose? Remember, every point in history is a crossroad, which means for us that every single choice you make is a possible crossroads in history for what you'll create in the future. The next big idea, dangerous gods. Harari, in the last words of the book, talks a lot about how we have evolved from negligible human beings who didn't have much more impact on their environment than larvae and jellyfish and other such animals, to basically gods. We are now capable of creating atomic bombs which can extinguish the entire human race, literally. We can also, scientists have also figured out how they can combine DNA from different species of animals. For example, they have already combined the DNA from a rat and a green jellyfish to create a green rat. And they're also trying to figure out how we can revive the Neanderthals and dinosaurs by using the DNA in their bones and their frozen remains. So, to create dinosaurs and Neanderthals again. So again, we're basically gods. And Harari asks the question, is there anything more dangerous than dissatisfied and irresponsible gods who don't know what they want? Because the fact is that most of us don't really know what we want to do with our lives, what our purpose in life is, what we want our life to be like. And this begs the question, what is your purpose? Why is it that you are here? And are you rocking it every single day? My purpose is to help people actualize. I'm doing that right now. It can be as simple as that. And of course, to give you some more ideas on this, in his book, A Guide to the Good Life, William B. Irvine talks about the fact that if we don't pursue philosophy, in other words, actualizing and learning and actualizing our potential, there's a big danger that we will mislive. We might either choose the wrong goals in life and pursue them perfectly, or we might choose the wrong goals in life and pursue them wrongly, and therefore not attain them. So philosophy helps us see the difference between what are good goals in life and what are bad ones. Since we are basically gods, that is a pretty important choice to know what we want. And of course we can't talk about this without mentioning Socrates, who says, know thyself. Do you? What do you want? Get clear on that and work on it every day. Fate. This is also another beautiful idea. In the ancient Greeks and in many other religions and cultures and types of people had something called polytheism, which means poly, many, and theos, God. So they basically had many gods, and they could pray to these gods if they had some trouble with their famine, war, or plague, or they needed some help with other things. They could pray to these gods who were in the skies and would be happy to help, in theory. And but all of these gods themselves, they were subject to an all-encompassing power of the universe, which was called fate. Fate is omnipotent, it is everywhere, it's working all the time. And Harari tells us that the Greeks didn't waste any sacrifices to fate. And the Hindus didn't build any temples to Atman, which is also the force of the entire universe. Why? Because fate and Atman, they didn't care about human interests and what we wanted, if things are good or bad for us. It only cares about reality. So, in short, what we want to do, as a practical insight, is to love fate. Amor fati, as Nietzsche talks about. He says that we have to love fate since we can't control it, and that's a much better way than to fight it, to fight what happens around us. So, are you trying to control things around you, people's opinions, what they say, what happens in general, that you actually can't control? How about loving all of that and instead getting much more clear on your choices, the choices you're going to make to create a great life and serve the world profoundly? Right, last big idea, family. This is also a cool one. Harari tells us that 6 million years ago there was one ape that had 2 children, one female ape, 2 children. One chimpanzee, one human being. And basically, these resulted in the entire generation of chimpanzees, all the chimpanzees that have ever lived, and all human beings that have ever lived. And this is a really cool look at fate. What has happened? When something has happened 6 million years ago, that determined that I am standing here talking to you right now and you are listening, because if that ape hadn't had a chimpanzee and a human, in the theory, then we wouldn't be here right now. So we still can choose to love fate. That 6 million years ago, that ape chose to mate herself with a male ape, and therefore we are here. And again, all these 3 are connected. We are all part of the human family, which descends from 6 million years ago or something. Fate is not something we can control, what happened later or what happens now. And we always have a choice. It's a forward into growth or back into safety. So we need to accept what has happened in the past and love it, accept what happens now and love it, and make good choices for the future. Are you? That's what's family. Reflect on how everything in the world is connected. Fate, amor fati, love fate. Dangerous gods, know what you want. If not, you're a dangerous god. Choice. Step forward into growth or back into safety. Virtue or vice. Hercules chose virtue. You? And biology versus culture. Only human imagination stops us from exploring our biological possibilities. Let's not do that. Right, that was a quick and meandering look at Sapiens by Yuval Harari. I highly enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Yuval. Now, what is the one idea that jumped out at you that most resonated with you? And if you have found your favorite idea, that idea is talking to you right now, and it means that you are ready to apply it to your life. So what is the simple first step you can take towards embodying it in your life starting today? Alright, get on that. As we actualize our life and give our greatest gifts and greatest service to the world. Thanks for watching. Have another awesome day. Looking forward to sharing more with you soon. See you.